Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. A huge, warm hello to all you fantastic viewers joining me today. Seriously, thank you so much for clicking and being curious about the amazing little quirks our bodies can do. Before we dive into the fascinating world of tongues and tricks, sending out the biggest virtual hug and all the best wishes your way. Wherever you are right now, whatever your day holds, I genuinely hope you're feeling fantastic, full of positive energy, and staying wonderfully healthy. May you always be blessed with strength, joy, and a sense of wonder about the incredible machine that is your own body. Okay, let's stick out our tongues, metaphorically for now, and explore a fun little party trick you've probably seen or tried. Why can some people roll their tongues? You know, that ability to curl the sides of your tongue upwards into a tube or U-shape. It seems so simple, but it leaves many of us wondering, is it magic? Is it genes? Can you learn it if you can't do it? Let's unravel the mystery together. First off, look around. Ask a few friends or family members to try rolling their tongues. You'll likely see a mix. Some people can do it effortlessly, maybe even do fancy folds or cloverleaf shapes. Others might get a slight curl, but not a full tube. And some might feel like their tongue just stubbornly lies flat, no matter how hard they try. This variation is super common, and for the longest time, people thought the answer was pretty straightforward: genetics. The story many of us learned in school, maybe even as recently as a few decades ago, was that tongue rolling was a simple inherited trait, like having attached or detached earlobes. The idea was that there was one single tongue-rolling gene. If you inherited the dominant version of this gene from one or both parents, you could roll your tongue. If you inherited two recessive versions, you couldn't. Boom. Done. Case closed. But, like many things in biology, the real story turns out to be a lot more interesting and complex than that simple yes or no switch. While genetics absolutely plays a major role in whether you can roll your tongue, it's not as simple as one single gene acting like an on-off switch. Think of it more like genetics lays down the foundation or the potential for the ability. It influences the physical structure of your tongue and the way the muscles are wired to work together. Your tongue isn't just one big lump of muscle. It's a complex hydrostat, a muscular structure without bones that moves by changing the pressure and shape of fluid-filled compartments within it, kind of like an octopus arm. It's made up of several different muscles running in various directions, up and down, side to side, front to back. To roll your tongue into that classic tube shape, you need to coordinate a specific set of muscles, primarily the ones running vertically down the sides of your tongue, the verticalis muscles. When these muscles contract, they pull the sides of your tongue downwards and inwards. But to get that upward curl, it's a bit more complex. It involves the interaction of these vertical muscles with the muscles running along the length of your tongue, the longitudinal muscles, and the overall flexibility of the tongue tissue itself. Essentially, successful rollers have the right combination of muscle strength, coordination, and, crucially, lingual frenulum flexibility. That little band of tissue underneath your tongue, connecting it to the floor of your mouth? Its length and flexibility can influence how freely the tip of your tongue can move and curl. Genetics influences all these underlying anatomical factors: the specific size and shape of your tongue, the length and attachment point of the frenulum, the inherent strength and coordination potential of the tongue muscles, and even the general flexibility of the tissues. So, genetics sets the stage. But here's where it gets really interesting. Practice and environment might actually play a bigger role than we once thought. This is the part that challenges the old single gene idea. Studies looking at identical twins, who share virtually 100% identical DNA, have provided some of the best clues. If tongue rolling was purely controlled by a single dominant gene, you'd expect both identical twins to always be able to do it, or both not able to do it. But that's not always what happens. Researchers have found pairs of identical twins where one twin can roll their tongue perfectly, and the other twin, with the exact same genes, simply cannot or struggles significantly. This strongly suggests that something beyond just the inherited DNA blueprint is influencing the outcome. What could that something be? It likely comes down to the complex interplay between your genetic potential and your developmental environment and learning. Think about it like learning to wiggle your ears or raise one eyebrow. Some people can do these things naturally from a young age. Their brain seems wired to easily activate those specific muscles. Others might have the physical capability. The muscles are there, but their brain hasn't quite figured out how to send the right signals to isolate and control those muscles effectively. With practice, focus, and repeated attempts, some people can actually train their brains to make those connections and learn the skill. The same seems to hold true for tongue rolling. While genetics might make it easier or harder for some individuals, the ability often involves motor learning, your brain figuring out how to precisely coordinate those specific tongue muscles to achieve the desired shape. This learning likely happens subconsciously during early childhood development. Babies and toddlers explore their bodies constantly, sticking out their tongues, moving them in all sorts of ways as they babble, eat, and discover their senses. This exploration is essentially practice. A child whose genetics give them a slightly more flexible tongue or frenulum might accidentally discover the tongue-rolling motion more easily during this playful exploration. Their brain recognizes the successful muscle pattern, reinforces it, and it becomes an easy, automatic skill. Another child, with perhaps slightly different anatomy or who simply didn't stumble upon that specific muscle coordination during their crucial developmental window, might not develop the skill naturally. For them, trying to roll their tongue later in life feels like trying to move a muscle they've never consciously isolated before. It's frustrating and might seem impossible, even if their tongue is physically capable. This explains why some people report learning to roll their tongue as teenagers or even adults. It might take dedicated practice, consciously trying to feel and activate those side muscles, experimenting with different positions, and lots of patience. It's not guaranteed that everyone can learn it. Genetics might set some hard limits on flexibility or muscle control for some individuals, but the possibility of learning it challenges the old notion that you're simply born with it or not. It becomes more like a physical skill, akin to doing a cartwheel or touching your toes. Some people have bodies naturally more suited to it, genetics. Some discover the knack easily as kids, development plus practice, and some might need to work harder to train the specific coordination, conscious practice. The proportion of the population that can roll their tongues varies by study and region, but it's generally estimated that somewhere between 65% to 85% of people can do it to some degree, leaving a significant minority who cannot. So, what does this mean if you look in the mirror and your tongue just won't cooperate? Does it mean something's wrong? Absolutely not. Not being able to roll your tongue is completely normal. It doesn't indicate any problem with your tongue's function for its essential jobs: speaking clearly, tasting delicious food, swallowing safely, and helping keep your mouth clean. It simply means that specific combination of muscle coordination needed for that particular trick isn't something your brain and tongue have mastered. It doesn't reflect intelligence, overall dexterity, or health. It's just one of the many fascinating variations in human anatomy and motor skills, like how some people can touch their nose with their tongue, some can fold their tongues into cloverleafs, an even rarer skill, and some can whistle incredibly loudly while others can barely make a sound. It's also worth mentioning briefly, because it's part of the history, that the idea of tongue rolling being a simple genetic trait was unfortunately misused in the past. Some proponents of discredited and racist ideologies tried to link the inability to roll the tongue, or other trivial traits, to broader, nonsensical ideas about racial superiority or inferiority. This was, and remains, complete and utter pseudoscience, with no basis in reality. The distribution of tongue-rolling ability cuts across all populations and ethnicities, and as we've seen, the trait itself is far more complex than a simple genetic switch. It has zero correlation with anything beyond the specific factors we've discussed: complex genetic influences on anatomy combined with developmental learning and practice. So, the next time you see someone effortlessly rolling their tongue, or you manage to do it yourself, appreciate the subtle complexity behind it. It's a neat little demonstration of how our bodies develop, a blend of the genetic blueprint we inherit and the unique path of exploration and learning our brains and muscles undertake as we grow. It's a skill shaped by both nature and nurture. If you can do it, great. It's a fun party trick. If you can't, that's perfectly fine too. Your tongue is still an amazing organ doing its vital work. And if you feel like trying to learn, go for it. Find a quiet moment, look in the mirror, relax your tongue, and gently try to lift just the outer edges upwards. Focus on the sensation. It might take time, and you might not succeed, but the attempt itself is a cool way to connect with your own body's potential for learning. Thanks so much for exploring this quirky bit of human biology with me today. Celebrate your uniqueness, whatever your tongue can do, and take wonderful care of yourselves. Stay curious, stay healthy, and see you next time.